In a democracy, citizens need to be informed. Informed about policies, issues, homelessness, law enforcement, and social services. In order for people to make good decisions that affect their lives, they need to be informed. Conversations with Erroll Parker. Hello and welcome to Conversations with Erroll Parker. One of the strong sports traditions in Southern California and around this country is Long Beach Poly, its football team and its basketball team. Tonight on our program, we're talking to Shelton Diggs, who is in his 6th year as head boys basketball coach at Long Beach Poly High School. Welcome to the program, Shelton.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me.
Now, I remember when you was a little boy, Shelton. I remember your father playing at the University of Southern California, outstanding receiver there. Mm-hmm. But you are now the boys basketball coach at Long Beach Poly High School. And this year, your team is 18-5 and has just, for all intents and purposes, cinched the Moore League. But before you were a coach there, you were a JV coach and you went to Western Washington University. How did you become the boys basketball coach in one of the most rich traditional powers in this country?
I mean, it's kind of by chance. Coach Sharif was the head coach, I remember, and I was up in Washington. I was trying to decide what I was going to do after graduating and stuff, and he asked me to come be the JV coach. And then, like I said, I was a JV coach for 8 years. And then Coach Montori just asked me to take over the program 1 year for him. And I took it over. I did pretty well. And he was like, why would I come back? You know, you're doing a good job. So I've been the coach ever since then. So I'm enjoying it.
You had an outstanding first year. As Coach Sharif Montoya did in his first year, he captured the CIF championship, and you did the same thing, and then went on to the state regional finals before you were defeated. That was quite a year for you. Can you remember some of the players that you had?
The first year we won CIF, we had Kajon Fagan, who's at Santa Clara now looking to transfer. He's going to go somewhere else here. I remember Chris Sullivan, Jordan Dallas, Cameron Morrell. Those guys, they taught me a lot. My brother was on the staff still then. AJ, he helped me out a lot with that group. I remember that group a lot. That was a really fun group, really tough. Those kids could have all, decided to leave once I took the program over, but they all wanted to stick with me and help me through my first year, and I also helped them to get a CIF title. So,
now, one of the things that I know that you emphasize, now you were a fine basketball player at Long Beach Poly High School, and you won the title in 1998 under Coach Ron Palmer, the legendary coach. But the character you build in the players, they seem to play hard for you. But you have primarily African-American boys, and many of them come from single-parent families. What kind of thing, beside coaching basketball, are you trying to instill in these boys?
Just accountability, showing them they have to work for everything that they get in life. So, nothing's given to them coming to Poly, nothing's given to them in life. You have to work for everything that you want to get. If you want to play more, you got to work for it. If you want to get a job with this, doing that, you have to work for it. So I try to instill that in them. And it's because I went to Poly, I had to work for everything. Nobody gave me nothing. They made me work for everything. So I want to instill that in them, make them work, be accountable for what they have to do.
That's very, very important. Now, let's kind of go back to your team in 1998 under Coach Ron Palmer. You guys won the CIF championship.
Well, that year we lost. We won my junior year.
Your junior year, in 1998.
We lost Artesia. Well, we lost Artesia, then they ended up giving us the title because they had some illegal players and stuff like that, though. But that team, 98, we had Mike McIntyre, who recently just passed away, who went to University of Hawaii, Ricky Anderson, who went to University of Arizona, Wesley Stokes, everybody remembers him. He was a sophomore on that team, along with myself, and then Shea Anderson. That was our starting five. That was a really, really good team. A lot of people didn't expect us to do much coming off the year before we won CIF. We lost a lot of players, Mike McDonald, Leland, Malachi and them. So they didn't expect a lot from us, but we knew what we were about. We knew how good we can be, and we went all the way to CIF. Again, we lost, but they gave us that championship back later on.
Now, being the head coach at Poly is a very special and a challenging type of coach. What is the most challenging thing you've encountered? Is it with the parents? Is it with the administration? Is it with the expectation of the program?
It's the expectation. We're expected to win. I mean, we can't lose to other teams. I really can't have a year where I'm just trying to build and get better and work with guys while we're taking losses. We're expected to win every year. The administration expects to win. The community expects us to win. I live in the community, and my main thing was I don't want to be the guy walking to the store and a kid see, hey, mommy, that's the guy over there that's messing up the Poly program. So that's the main thing, the expectations, trying to keep this program at a high level. We don't get high-level players every year. We don't get transfers just coming in left and right. So we have to build within the program we have. So that's the main focus of what we want. Yeah.
Tell us about this year. You're 18-5, and you're just about to embark upon the playoffs, and you won your 6th straight Moore League championship. I can't remember the last time that Poly has not won a Moore League championship. Maybe when DeMar DeRozan was at Compton,
I think
we might
that was
have
the last
tied for
one.
the championship.
Yeah.
But what's the expectation going into the playoffs this year?
I mean, it's always we want to win a CIF title, regardless if we go Division I or Open. I know they just took us off the Open list, so I assume we're going Division I. It's always to go win a title. There's always the expectation. It's going to be tough. Division I is no joke. There are a lot of tough teams, so we're going to have to make sure we're really up to the level of competition that we need to be at to be able to be competitive in that division.
I'd like for us to talk about this. Name some names this year for your team.
We're really senior heavy, which is really good. Got 11 seniors on the 14-man roster. All of them have been through our program, whether they've been on freshman, sophomore, JV, varsity. Justin Renee's our leading scorer right now. He's playing really good basketball for us, shooting the ball really well, but he's doing the all-around things that we asked him to do: defending, rebounding, being very vocal out there. You also have Jordan Williams, as another senior who's committed to Santa Clara. Really long, active player, shoots the ball really well. You got Malik Salahuddin. His dad played at Long Beach State, Rasul Salahuddin. He's really our toughest guy, you'd say, on our perimeter, the guy that gets us going. Those three are the guys that lead us this year. We have a little bit of height now with Solomon Jones, who's just been able to play now. And then we have a sophomore, Peyton Watson, who's really starting to blossom and really starting to come into his role.
Now, you played for a legend, Ron Palmer. Talk about the influence that Ron Palmer has had on your career as coaching as well as your play.
He's had a major influence on me. I do tons of drills that we did when I was back here at Poly. The main thing I focus from him is the little things. Doing little things. Every drill we do, making sure that we're doing that right, where it's the footwork. I remember he came and watched us one day at practice, and he's like, "Coach, they're doing the footwork wrong, they're doing this wrong." And then he always tells us the little things, making sure you guys are doing the little things. You take care of that, then that'll lead to all the big things that you want to accomplish.
Basketball is a little different now than it was when you're playing. The three-point, of course, they've all had the three-point, but the up and down racehorse basketball that the leagues, the NCAA leagues, travel teams that manifest itself now. Do you think high school basketball and the many transfers that have taken place has dampened the game, or has it strengthened the game?
It's both. I mean, it can dampen it. If you look at some of the teams we play within our league, transfers have really hurt them bad. But it's also, you got some super teams out there now that we can aspire to try to beat. You have your Sierra Canyons, your Rancho Christians, all those schools who have multiple players like that are big and transferred in. And it's a challenge for you now to go out and beat them with a local team that we have.
Last year in the Moore League, you were Coach of the Year. And the reason why, in some people's mind, that you were Coach of the Year, because you had a really small team. You had about 5 guards out there. But you were always very excited about the team. What was the excitement of you? Did not have a big man, a back-to-the-basket type of center, or even a power forward. You had 5 guards. Why were you so excited, and why were you guys so successful?
It was so fun coaching 5 guards like that played so hard, that didn't care how big or small they were. We shot the ball really well. And it's kind of that Golden State mentality when they go with what they call their lineup of death, when they're really small. It's really exciting, though. The other team has to really guard you on the defensive end when you have 5 guards like that. So you have 5 guys who can really attack it at all times. And if they're smart enough to make the right play, it can be really, really enjoyable. I'm a guard, so it's always fun coaching guards. That was just such a joy to coach those guys, because they were all little, but they didn't matter. They had heart. They played with heart. We went and beat some really teams that had 6'10", 6'11" guys, and we just made them look like they weren't nothing. So it was exciting.
But Long Beach Poly basketball, way back in the 70s, and they had studs.
Yeah.
They had 6'9", 6'10". You had Ozell Jones. You had Ray Whitey. You had Johnny Nash. And then to come down, and you played it with some studs.
Yeah.
To come down and have 5 guards is really kind of tough.
I mean, it was tough, you had to plan ahead for it. As I was looking, 2 years before that, you start saying, okay, we don't really have no height. We're going to be small this year. You had to kind of plan for it ahead of time. But when your guards are good, especially in the high school game, I think guards they make the game. The bigs, a lot of times, you got a few bigs that are really good, but most bigs are still growing into their body. They're still trying to, you know, maybe lose weight, figure out something like that. When you have guards, they're ready to go. They know their game. And so that's what made it fun for us. And then also the year before, I had big guys. And we lost a couple games to teams that were guards. So I looked at what those teams did to us and how, when I was big, it was kind of tough to guard some teams. I mean, I remember guarding Milliken, having to guard all those small guys. They were tough. We would win, but it was just tough. And I wanted to make sure that when I was small like that, we were going to be tough like that for guys to guard us and stuff like that. And our guards were a lot better than the guards we played that year. So it showed in us being able to play against big teams like that.
I want to talk about your family a little bit before we get out of here. Your brother is at Toronto, in the NBA.
Yeah, assistant coach with the D-League, Toronto Raptors. Yeah,
okay. He was your assistant coach there.
My first year. I mean, he was my assistant, but, you know, that's my little brother. We're only 2 years apart. That was my head coach almost, you know what I mean, the way he acts. So, you know, he taught me a lot of stuff. He had been with Shree for a while. And coming from JV to varsity, it's a big jump. So he just helped me with that transition there. Yeah.
Now your mom, she's a mom in the community.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. You know, her and I have worked together many, many times. And your dad is almost at every game.
Yeah. You know, he's retired now. He was the LA sheriff for about 30 years, so he's retired now, so he's got time. He wants to come down, check out all my games, see his grandchildren, so yeah.
And your other sister, you have some other sisters?
My sister Becky, she's around. And then, you know, Nina, she's out in Boston now helping out with some co-ops and stuff like that.
That's right.
You know,
great family.
Great, yeah. We all play sports. Well, everybody but Becky, but we all play sports, and you know.
Last couple of questions, though. It seems to me, and I've been around this game a long time. It seems to me you have a great intuitive substitution style. It seems like you're running guys in and out, but it's a method to your madness. Tell us about your substitution philosophy.
I mean, it's a kind of a feel, but also, you know, you have to work on it in practice. You tell guys they need to play as hard as they can until they can't go anymore. And being able to play 8 minutes, you ain't playing hard enough. You know what I mean? So I try to instill in them to play hard for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. Then you'll get a sub, be ready to come out. And if you're not tired in 2 to 3 minutes, that means you're not playing hard enough. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my pattern. Every 2 to 3 minutes, I like to get somebody else in just to keep guys fresh, to keep them playing as hard as they can. And it's a feel too, you know. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes you're wrong with subbing a guy in like that. But you kind of just got to have a feel for when you like to sub. And I'm not a big in just getting 5 guys, just playing those 5 guys. You know, you want to get an 8, 9, 10-man rotation, get multiple guys in. So teams have to really prepare for multiple guys and not just a few guys to guard.
Very last question, and I know John Atkinson has been with you for many, many years and been with the program many years. When are you going to get rid of him and get somebody else, and maybe we'll win a state title?
You know, Coach Ack is a pillar in the community of Long Beach. He's a pillar for Long Beach Poly. So, I mean, as long as I'm here, he's probably going to be here. So.
I hate to hear that, but you know, he's a good friend of mine. Yeah. But thank you so much for being on Conversation with Erroll Parker, and with lots of luck and success in this year's team and the character you're trying to build in these young men.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That was Coach Shelton Diggs, the boys basketball coach, varsity boys basketball coach at Long Beach Poly, and a Poly alum doing a very wonderful job with those young kids over there. We'll be right back with our next guest, Oscar Edwards, in the second portion of our program. We'll be right back. In a democracy, citizens need to be informed about policies, issues, homelessness, law enforcement, and social services. In order for people to make good decisions that affect their lives, they need to be informed. Conversations with Erroll Parker. Welcome back to Conversations with Erroll Parker, and my second guest on the program is Oscar Edwards, who is an African-American entrepreneur. He's a marketeer, and he's involved intimately in the Southern California community, although he lives here in Lakewood. He's Southern California-wide, and he gets young people involved in entrepreneurship in an intellectual way in classrooms, and he has his own business himself. Welcome to the program, Oscar.
Thank you, Errol.
You were involved with the Martin Luther King Day at UCLA. Now, you're a UCLA alum.
Yes.
1976 or something like
that. I
that.
graduated in 77 undergrad and then 81 from the Anderson School of Management.
Tell us what you're trying to do with the MLK at UCLA.
Well, the MLK Day, which started as the Martin Luther King Jr. Remembrance Day, is built around a visit and speech that Martin Luther King Jr. made at UCLA in April of 1965, April 23rd, 1965. And so we've been honoring that day starting about 5 years ago now. at UCLA as a way to engage young people, particularly college and high school and middle school students, bringing them to UCLA to see films that build around the themes of Martin Luther King, social justice, economic justice, and so forth. So it's coming up again this year, 2019, and we have rethemed the day. It's a full week of events that is honoring Martin Luther King's call for a beloved community. That was a part of that speech.
Now, tell us a little bit about what he's talking about, a beloved community. What was he trying to put forth at that time?
Our translation from his speech speaks to benevolence, that we should be looking at not what one has done for me, but what we can do for someone else. Speaking to the fact that in giving, not only in terms of our time, but in terms of our financial resources and support to the community, that makes a beloved community. And so UCLA has embraced that theme as a part of its centennial, which is this UCLA centennial year, 100 years. It's also part of this celebration. Also part of this celebration is Jackie Robinson's 100 years. He would have been 100 years old this year. And so that is all a part of this Martin Luther King Day celebration of the beloved community.
When I was a child and living in Michigan, I wanted to go to UCLA because of Jackie Robinson.
I think everybody. I mean, he was such an icon, and not so much just in the fact that he was a visible athlete and became a celebrity and just became a leader and someone from the community who we could look up to, like many of the athletes in the day. That athletics and entertainment, those were the vehicles that we could get exposure in the African American community. But Jackie Robinson, just by Martin Luther King's words, was before we started looking at sitting and boycotting at restaurants, and before we started talking about walking Jackie Robinson in terms of protests, Jackie Robinson was long doing that, in Martin Luther King's words. So there's a connection there in terms of our commitment to social justice that has long been a part of our community and our beliefs. So Jackie Robinson, in his life, obviously in breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball, with excellence demonstrated that in all facets and walks of life.
Now, you're trying to open up a Long Beach chapter of this MLK Day.
Yes.
What can the city of Long Beach, what can the African American community in Long Beach do to help augment what you're trying to do at UCLA?
Well, we've made available a community outreach component for this program. We do bus to the campus this year. On April 23rd, we will bus 1,500 students to the campus. Number one, we're inviting the Long Beach School District, youth community, whatever middle schools or high schools that would like to be involved in that, they need to reach out to us. And we can make that happen in terms of availability. That day, that morning, the whole morning will be an event for young people to see a free screening of 42. There'll be panelists represented from the various communities. Hopefully Dodgers will be their representative, LA 84, who has been participating for a number of years. We'll have spokespersons there to share their vision and their recollection and the meaningfulness of what we're doing to the community and young people today.
You've asked me to be a part of that, so I feel free, if somebody wants to get involved with this event in the city of Long Beach when they see this show, should I give them my number or give them yours, or give them some way they can get involved?
Yeah, I think, and that's why I reached out to you, Erroll, in terms of taking local leadership, that they should reach out to you and let you know that they want to be involved. We are prepared to bring a screening here and a panel to the city of Long Beach to be a part of that whole week. That whole week of the third week in April is part of this event. So we can make that happen. It would be very meaningful. And there's a big connection here, as you may recollect, in Martin Luther King's last speech in Memphis, 1968, April 3rd. He mentioned in that speech for the Memphis transportation workers that it wasn't just about social justice. We weren't going to have social justice without economic justice. And so that is a part of the education to understand that in our society, we cannot fulfill all the things that we would like to see happen in our communities in terms of improvement and growth without economic equity and justice.
How do we attain economic equity and justice? What are the steps that need to be made in order to achieve that?
Well, I believe it obviously starts with education. We have to have a sound education. Obviously, we're in a democratic society and a system of capitalism, and we have to understand how the various elements move to create the resources necessary to improve and grow in our communities. So education is still the first building block. And then we have to not only have education in terms of the sense of how we're going to operate in society, but we have to build a strong moral foundation that allows us to build on the words that I mentioned earlier in terms of the beloved community. We have to be able to realize that we need to share in this pie.
And have integrity.
And have integrity about it and be able to give back to the broader community. So these are things that we learned that we have to do a better job today. And I believe it's our responsibility. Our generation is responsible for improving the lot. As you well know, education for African Americans in the state of California are rock bottom based on the latest test scores in math and reading. And if you look at economically in terms of small businesses, entrepreneurship, we have the least number of entrepreneurs. We get the least amount of funding or access to capital of any group. That's not improvement. So we have to hold ourselves accountable to making efforts to improve our lot in our communities, which obviously connect with all the communities to improve our quality of life.
And it starts early. I mean,
absolutely.
Parents tend to back off being educational partners with their children when they get to middle school.
That's right.
And then when I go to your campus, when I go to UCLA, I don't see a noticeable absence of black young men on that campus. I walked through that campus, and it was a while before I saw African American women more, but African American men I saw very few of.
Yes.
Why is that happening?
Well, you know, the criminal justice system has done I would hate to say a great job, but it's not been in our favor. We got a lot of young men who are incarcerated. If they're not incarcerated, they're not getting the foundational education that would lead them on a path to college or to a strong enough trade. Entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial orientation is very important. And entrepreneurial orientation is about self-starter. It's about having the motivation. It's not necessarily the technical education yet. It's the foundational characteristics and traits that allow you to have the drive to seek the resources wherever they may take you, necessary to improve your lot.
Now, it's not because of a lack of opportunities out there. And when you look at the opportunities out there for all kids, especially African American kids, it is out there. But as you was mentioning, the lack of self-starting. Why is that so dampened in the African American community among people who want to be entrepreneurs?
I wouldn't say it's dampened. I would say more that they don't have a visualization of what is possible. See, once you get exposed to what is possible, so if you study social network theory, it's about the weak points of your connections, your nodes, right? It's the weak points, not the strong. You and I know each other. Our growth is not going to come from just knowing each other. It's going to come from knowing people out of our comfort zone, being exposed to things that we've never seen before, that open our eyes to greater possibilities, which lights a fire. That's why you and I went to college. We got exposed to something. If I hadn't got exposed to that, it's just like I went to the first Rams game. I lived in Riverside and I ended up going to a Rams game in the early 60s. Well, I didn't know anything about that. If I never went to a Rams game, I would have never known about that. I mean, I saw it on TV, but not the actual concrete, I could touch it and experience it.
So you're talking about mentorship then for guys like us or older guys saying, okay, let's get a group of guys and take them out of their community and show them something. And then follow up on that.
Yes, and I'll give you an example. When I was in Riverside School District, I had a history teacher, and my history teacher had a brother. And actually, they were both Indian. They were from India. They were history teachers, U.S. history teachers. One at my high school, J.W. North, and another at another high school in Riverside, California. And every weekend, in my junior year, every weekend, they took us one. They invited us to go. Now, it was up to you, your parents, you know. But they invited us. They picked us up. They took about a half dozen of us each. And they took us all. They took us to the museum. I'd never been to LA County Museum. They took us to the museum.
That's right.
They took us to all these things that I had never seen in my life that gave me a new outlook of what is possible. Oh, I could go there.
There's a possibility.
Possibilities.
Hope. Yes.
Hope.
Yes. Well, Oscar, I am honored for you to have asked me to be a part of that. And if you want to contact the MLK Day, do it with me. Go to my email address, Erroll, E-R-R-O-L-L, Parker 42, that's Jackie Robinson's number, at yahoo.com. Tell me that you want to be a part of this program. I will send you information a part of this program. I will get in contact with you, leave your telephone number. I'm honored for them to have asked me to do this. Oscar, thank you so much for being on our television program. And you're welcome back at any time to talk about economic justice and the other wonderful things besides the business that you have in terms of the marketing business you have that we've consulted in from time to time. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you, Errol. My pleasure.
That was Oscar Edwards, who is an entrepreneur, an African-American entrepreneur here in Southern California, based here in Long Beach in some ways, and he's doing the Martin Luther King Day at UCLA. You ought to get involved with it. People of all colors and all races and all backgrounds, we welcome you. Thank you for being on Conversations with Erroll Parker, and we'll see you another time. In a democracy, citizens need to be informed. Informed about policies, issues, homelessness, law enforcement, and social services. In order for people to make good decisions that affect their lives, they need to be informed. Conversations with Erroll Parker.